Hi, welcome back to another book talk. This week we're going to talk about adventure books. And to be even more precise, both of these books have a survival element to them. And I really like pairing both of these books together because one has to do with caving and the other with climbing, as in mountains. And both of them have a lot of striking similarities. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce both titles and then we'll talk about them separately. So, the first book, and I'm presenting them in order of publication. The first book that I want to introduce to you is Peak. It is a book that has been around for quite a few years, but it is a captivating one and one that is well worth your read if you haven't picked it up yet. It is a first in a series, although it does stand alone. And Peak is written by Roland Smith. So, the other book that I would like to introduce to you that we're going to discuss is called The Unfortunates by Kim Liggett. And I'm sorry that this tag here is in the way, so if you seeing the author's full name. And The Unfortunates, as you can tell, this one is our mountain climbing book. And The Unfortunates it's hard to tell from here, but it has to do with going underground as opposed to climbing in the sky. And so Liggett is also well known for doing other sorts of dark sort of adventure survival books. And Peak is also, Roland Smith is also known for doing other adventure titles if you like both of these authors. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about Peak. I first read Peak. The first time that I read Peak was actually as a Community One read. And I found it very, very captivating, very fast paced. I know nothing about climbing. Again, not adventure girl, okay? Although my dad dragged us on plenty of adventures we were not expecting as young children. But I certainly have not done any climbing. And I found this book to be intriguing and informational. And very much kept my attention. It was a page turner. So let's go ahead and start off with what Peak is about. First of all, Peak is actually the name of our protagonist as well as what he is climbing, which in this book, the majority of this book is taking place on Mount Everest. And so Peak Marcello, who is our main character, our protagonist, is young. If I remember right, he's about 14 years old. And he loves to climb. He comes from a family of climbers, and his mother actually had a tragic accident and is unable to climb anymore. But his parents are no longer together. He his father is basically like MIA, not in the picture, and that's because he's busy climbing and going all over the world. But let's not forget that's also a choice his dad has made, to not really be in the picture. And so Peak himself is rather a daredevil. It opens up where he's in New York City and he is choosing to climb skyscrapers. And I might also let you know that that is illegal to do. And so in the attempt to, what he'll do is he'll climb and he'll tag the top of the skyscraper that he's at. And in the process of trying to do this, he is caught and arrested. And to let you know, while he is awaiting court, another individual, another young boy, attempts to do the same thing because he's kind of inspired this amongst other people within New York who don't have the same skill set that he does as a climber. And this person dies. This kid dies. And so they really want to make an example of him in court, because he's been doing this and he's been caught, again and again and again. And they want to make an example of him because this kid was clearly emulating him, and has died. Before things can be set, and while he is awaiting, his father ends up showing up. Hey, look at you. No show dad. You're finally here. And through a series of deals, his dad's able to get him to leave the vicinity for a short time to go with him on a climb. None other than Mount Everest. And if Peak is able to make that climb, he will be the youngest person in history to have ever climbed Mount Everest. So there's a lot of information in here too, and it's important to know that where Mount Everest is and where they're taking off from is at a juncture where a lot of different countries meet. You have Tibet, you have Nepal, you have, and of course, China, which has seized control of Tibet. And of course, you also have people who are indigenous to this country, the Sherpas, and their treatment as well. And there's a lot of cultural things going on, as well as family relationships between Peak and his dad. I mean, his dad's basically MIA, and now suddenly you show up. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Peak's mind, as well as what ended up happening to the young boy that fell, who was following in Peak's footsteps, literally by climbing a skyscraper, as well as the excitement of finally being able to be with his dad and climbing an actual mountain. There's a lot of really good stuff in here, a lot of great information about characters that really do keep you interested. Even if you don't think you're like an adventure type person, this book will really surprise you. I highly recommend it. So now we're going to go below. Now, this book, when you look at this, you're like, this does not look like an adventure book. You're right. It doesn't. And it doesn't open that way either. And so, first of all, I need to be able to clear my throat to pronounce this young man's name. His name is Grant Tavish III. Yes, and I'm going to say it like that because he is very much from like the preparatory upper crust elite here in the United States. And Grant Tavish III is used to being able to get whatever it is he wants. Well, one night, he is involved in a car accident, his fault, and 4 people die. Because he is the son of a senator, it is all sort of wiped clean. Okay? Now, Grant isn't doing well because of this. He understands that because he is white and he is wealthy and his father is powerful, I should say his father is wealthy and powerful, and he's got this brand sparkling future in front of him, he is getting certain privileges that other people do not get. And it's been weighing on him. And there is a tradition within his family, okay, with the Tavishes, that the men go on a caving trip. And it's on their own. They bring no food with them, just the bare essentials. And it's sort of like a testament to manhood kind of thing. And so despite the fact that after this like 3-day weekend of him doing this, that Monday he's supposed to go and appear in front of court for just like a little slap on the wrist, he's still going to go. What his family does not realize is that Grant has decided he can't live with himself anymore. Literally blood on his hands, as you can see from the cover, which is a really great manifestation of how he feels. And so Grant's decided that he's going to make what's going to be a suicide look like a cave-in accident. But what ends up happening is his accident ends up turning into an actual collapse that also threatens the lives of other people within the cave. There is a school, several schools, like in the local area doing field trips, and other people are trapped in the cave with him. They are not cavers like he is. Just like in this book here, we have Peak, who is an experienced climber. The kids that are trapped with him, the other teens, they're not experienced cavers. They just were coming here like from low, their income status is certainly nowhere near that of Grant's. They were coming just for some fun, and now they're seriously in trouble. To make matters worse, there seems to be something in the dark, something that is coming out and terrorizing them. So Grant finds himself in the position of, if I don't stay alive long enough to try and help these people, they may die. So it now becomes more of a fight for survival in order for him to hopefully lead the rest of the people out of the cave. This is a very taut and tense adventure. And instead of being like out in the open air, you find yourself feeling very claustrophobic, very tight, very frightened, because if you're not a fan of like tight enclosed spaces, and I am not, this book really does help generate that sort of feeling. And you also start to learn about who the other people are, because the other people that are in the group that he ends up meeting are lifelong friends. And he's resentful in some ways that they sort of saved him. But at the same time, he also feels that he owes them because of the things that he's already done in his past. He doesn't want to have any other deaths on his hand. And as they are down in the dark too, he begins to learn more about them, and he begins to trust them with who he is as well. So this is a very, very fast read as well. It's very involved, and you do learn too, just like you do in Peak, a little bit about caving and some of the terminology and some of the dangers. You will not catch me caving. No, thank you. This is as close as I'm going to come to caving. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the small places either. But it is very much an edge of your seat, gripping book. So once again, I want to recommend The Unfortunates by Kim Liggett. This is a standalone book. Peak by Roland Smith. It is a series, but this book stands alone. He came out with subsequent books that have to do with Peak Marcello later, much later. But if you end up liking the character and you want more, you can read it. But if you just want to read this one, it works out fine. I highly recommend it. If you've never read any kind of adventure or survival type stories, they are fun and fascinating reads. They really do keep you moving. So if you're a person that gets bored easily in a book, these are fantastic books to be able to keep you reading. Both of them offer a hint of mystery as well, because you don't know the entire stories of what is happening that's centering around the adventure. There are some mysteries that are happening about why each of them find themselves where they are and what is going on. And so there is that element of surprise too, that also keeps you glued to the book. So with that being said, try one of them, see what you think. And remember that adventures and survival stories, at least for me when I was young, were some of the things that piqued me the most, even just like true life stories, because you never know when you might find yourself in a cave or left on a mountain. This could come in handy. So with that being said, I wish you good health, and I wish you happy reading. Thank you.